Alright everybody, a few minutes ago I spent some time making a video and I don't think I'm able to upload from my phone here, so I have to use the YouTube recording feature, which is this right here, and here we go for your lesson today. Once again, we are in the van, so you have to deal with a shaky camera and these little impromptu lessons that I came up with, but whatever I came up with today is just, I think, a super powerful lesson. I just think this is awesome. It's amazing. It shows a lot of geometry in the fretboard and interesting geometry. And here we go. It is about how CAGED relates to the pentatonic scale. And not only just major CAGED, but minor CAGED. And on top of that, at the end of the video, I'll show you how a famous guitar player you've heard of, Jerry Garcia, may be using a little feature of this CAGED. It's just a hunch. I don't know for sure, but I would bet almost anything on it. Well, maybe not anything, but you know what I mean. Okay, here we go. So what I've drawn out here today is the pentatonic shapes. Drawn separately, as you know that they're interconnected. This is, actually that, and that is actually that. But you can think of them separately as separate shapes like that. 5 shapes of the pentatonic scale. And for anybody new to this channel, this is all referencing the fretboard as you look down on it like this. So, for example, 1 4, 1 3, 1 3, 1 3, 1 4, 1 4. All right, so like for 1 4, 1 3, 1 3, 1 3, 1 4, 1 4. So take some time, pause your video like right here. I'll try to hold this real steady. Pause the video so you get that and you can copy that down. Copy everything you see down onto a piece of paper and then replay the video so you can follow along. Here I've written down major and the intervals of a general major chord, not a 7th chord, just a root 3/5. With a 7th chord, all you have to do for this to add in the 7th is to know that the 7th always occurs before the root. So if you're dealing with a dominant 7th chord, it's going to be the whole step before the root. And if you're dealing with a regular 7th chord, it's the note just before the root. So that would also be a chord tone in with a 7th chord. But we're not dealing with that today, so we're not going to worry about it. We're keeping it easy with root, 3rd, and 5th. So major, root, major, 3rd, and 5th, because the 3rd always designates whether it's happy or sad. A flat 3rd, a note only 1, 2, 3 notes away from the root, makes up a minor chord. So root, flat 3rd, 5th. I'll call it a flat 3rd from now on. Minor 3rd, flat 3rd, same thing. Okay, so let's talk about major first. And CAGED. Where does CAGED come in from? C is the C shape. You can see the that means this shape right here. We'll go over this real quick for all the beginners. Your C shape. I can't strum. Your A shape. G shape. I can't strum. Your G shape. And CAGE comes from here, which is also considered, the same thing as your bar chord. You're just using all the open strings. So there's your E shape. And D. CAGED. Your D shape, you know that one, right? I won't play. Okay, never mind. Anyways, before I completely mess up this video. So CAGED. You can know where all your notes are on the fretboard in relation to your pentatonic scale. So as long as you know where your pentatonic scales, you'll know where all your chord tones are by memorizing them versus your pentatonic. So when it comes to this shape, memorize this pattern. This shape, memorize this pattern. And the neat thing is, all the notes in there that don't make up part of the chord all work as great tension tones to play while if you're playing lines, if you're playing trying to make up a melody, or you're playing a solo over those chords. You've got your landing tones and your stepping tones. Now you know that there's some other chord tones that are also involved in the scale, there's two more tones in the scale. Those provide you with a little extra tension. You can know those on your own time. And then there's the leftover notes, the 5 leftover notes that are the super tension notes that, you would use, chromatically or to slide into one of these tones. That stuff's coming in later on another lesson. So just so you get filled in today on all the notes, all in this lesson. But let's talk about what we got on paper here today. So if you had, like, let's say a G sharp, and you could put your pentatonic on G sharp, or you can put like this root note on G sharp and know that there's all your notes of G sharp. And if you want to move up the fretboard, of course, you're already playing this, the root third, this edge of this shape is also this edge. So all you need to know is the E part. You're on your G shape, so know your E chord is right there, and then know your D chord right there, and your C chord comes out of the D chord, and the A chord comes out of the C chord. And you'll be right back up the fretboard. As you see, that's part of the A chord blending into the G chord. And all of that comes out of your pentatonic. So if you're playing those chord tones and you wanted some to just not sound like you're just playing chord tones, bump into your pentatonic scale as a reference. Like if you were, playing and you knew you were in your C shape and you're playing those chord tones and you're like, man, I need some other notes here. We'll just start whipping into that pentatonic shape and that pentatonic shape and then that pentatonic shape, and then end up on the chord tones that you know from that pentatonic shape. And eventually doing that enough, you'll learn the whole thing through. And so you can see how the major rolls in, connects to the pentatonic scale. Well, of course, so does the minor. Let's take a look at that. So just as a last reference here to the major, C, A, G, E, D. I use this one first, this shape first, so it ends up on, G, E, D, C, A, but because that's just like my home pentatonic shape, so I drew that one first. And you see here it doesn't matter anyways, because with minor, C is using this shape anyway, so it's E, D, C, A, G, but it's still C, A, G, E, D, caged. C goes into the A goes into the G, G goes into the E goes into the D goes into the C, caged over and over again. So obviously we know that this is our minor pentatonic scale, so what do you know? The E minor shape is what's working with that one. And then that goes into the D minor shape. You can see the notes of D minor there, the D minor triad shape from the open chord system. And so, I'm sure you understand this. You go up the fretboard. These will be all the notes and that you could arpeggiate the chord with. And if you want to know some other notes outside of the arpeggio, here they are. Use your pentatonic scale and you'll have a whole series of other notes to jam with. And eventually you'll even learn how the whole scale can go overlay this whole thing. Anyways, aside from that, so the last thing I'll leave you with is this little notation I made here. Notice I've got a little slide action happening, a bar in each shape. My hunch is this. You hear in Jerry Garcia's solo always this little slide between 4 notes. My hunch is that he's using caged, and this is what he sees, and this is where he's sliding. In between the 3rd and the 5th if he's on a major chord, and in between the root and a minor 3rd if he's on a minor 3rd. Just a hunch. I don't have any solo information to prove that, but I'd be pretty sure beyond the shadow of a doubt that that would make the most sense to me, because it's clearly in the CAGED system. Every chord, every shape has this part where there's a note across from one another. And here's a neat geometrical thing that popped out to me. We have 5 shapes here, but we have 6 strings on the guitar. But remember, the top and the bottom string are the same. So we really only need 5 shapes to cover the entire fretboard. And I took a look. I said, hey, I wonder, did these shapes, does this little nuance here that occurs in every one of these shapes, this nuance where one string has 2 notes and the rest of the strings have only 1 note. Does that occur on every string? Check it out. We've got, let's call this the 1 string and this the 6th string. Well, let's call this the 6th string and this the 1 string. I think that's how it usually works. So we've got 6 and 1. Then we've got 4, 2, 5, and 3. So 1 and 6. 1, actually, let's be real clear here. 1 and 6. And then 2, 3, 4, and 5. Same thing with the top. Same exact geometrical thing, but a little bit different. It occurs in this shape. This occurs on the double occurs on the C. Here the double occurs on the E minor. Here the double occurs on the C, and it's a, of course, 6 and 1. And then 2, 3, 4, and 5. There's one slide available in each of the shapes, except for if it occurs on the bottom, it also occurs on the top, as is above, so below. There is your 12-minute lesson. And let me know in the comments if you have any questions about this. If there's something you didn't understand, make sure you've copied this down clearly as you see here. Leave me any questions, leave me any comments, leave me a thanks, point me to some music that you made from learning this. And we'll go from there. I hope, tell me how this helped you. And I think we'll leave you with this today. Hope this helped. And yeah, leave me a comment on anything else you'd like to see me graph out to see how it goes. And see if you can work in and learn a Jerry Garcia solo and see if during the chord that's where the slide occurs. Okay. Have yourself a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and a Happy Easter, and yeah, everything else. Have a great day.